You want me to what? Captain Zixtal's facial tentacles curled in what his species considered the equivalent of raising both eyebrows, while simultaneously choking on coffee. Babysit, repeated Ambassador Rodriguez with the kind of patient smile that suggested she'd been practicing this conversation in front of a mirror. Just for one standard rotation. The Galactic Council is hosting their annual summit, and we need someone trustworthy to watch the children of the human delegation. The Vextari captain's skin shifted from its usual calm blue to a mottled purple-green, a clear sign of distress among his kind. Ambassador, with all due respect, I command a state-of-the-art battlecruiser. We've faced down cracks and raiders and survived the Nebula Wars. I'm not qualified to— That's exactly why you're perfect for this, Rodriguez interrupted, her smile never wavering. Your ship has the highest safety rating in the fleet, and your crew is known for handling unexpected situations. You mean that incident with the space hamsters? That was one time, and we had no idea they could reproduce that quickly. The point is, you adapt well to chaos. And let's be honest, that's exactly what you need when dealing with human children. Zixtal's tentacles drooped. He knew that look in the ambassador's eyes. It was the same look his clutch mother used to give him when she'd already decided something and was just waiting for him to catch up to reality. How many? He asked, already dreading the answer. Just 6, ages ranging from 5 to 12 Earth years. 6? His voice rose an octave. Ambassador, do you know how many crew members it takes to contain a single Ragnarian war beast? 4, if I remember correctly. 6. And you're telling me I need to watch 6 human children? Rodriguez patted his shoulder sympathetically. Don't worry, Captain. We'll provide you with all the necessary information. Besides, human children are perfectly harmless. Looking back, Zixtal would realize that should have been his first warning sign. In his experience, whenever someone described something as perfectly harmless, it usually meant exactly the opposite. The trouble began approximately 17 minutes after the children arrived on board. Captain! Lieutenant Cree burst onto the bridge, her antenna twitching frantically. We have a situation in the hydroponics bay. Zixtal, who had been reviewing the datapad of Essential Guidelines for Human Child Care, a document that seemed suspiciously brief, looked up. Already? They just got here. Sir, somehow they've— Well, you should probably see for yourself. The scene that greeted him in hydroponics would have made a seasoned space pirate pause. 2 of the children, the ones introduced as Tommy and Marcus, had somehow managed to convert the automated watering system into what they called a super soaker. 3 more children were using the resulting spray to conduct what they termed water warfare, while the 6th had apparently decided to test if the artificial gravity could be overcome by jumping from increasingly higher platforms. How did they even figure out the control systems? Zixtal demanded. Those are encrypted. About that, sir. Cree consulted her tablet. It seems human children have an innate ability to, and I quote, push all the buttons until something interesting happens. Stop them. We tried, sir, but according to the guidelines, we can't actually touch them without proper certification in human child handling. Apparently, they're extremely fragile. Zixtal watched as one of the children performed a perfect backflip off a storage container, landed in a puddle, and immediately began planning how to make the jump even more awesome. Fragile, he repeated flatly. Right. By hour 3, Zixtal had learned several important things about human children. 1. They operated on an entirely different plane of logic than adults of any species. 2. Their energy reserves seemed to violate several laws of physics. 3. The word don't actually translated in their minds to definitely do this immediately. He'd also discovered that his crew, despite being hardened veterans of multiple conflicts, were completely unprepared for the tactical genius of small humans engaged in what they called hide and seek. Sir, Security Chief Vorn reported, his exoskeleton clicking nervously. We've lost visual on 3 of them. How? We have sensors covering every deck. They've figured out our blind spots. And sir, they're sharing that information with each other. Zixtal felt a chill run down his spine. They're coordinating? Yes, sir. We intercepted something they call a pinky swear between 2 of them. From what we can determine, it's some sort of unbreakable oath. Before Zixtal could process that disturbing information, the ship's AI announced, Alert! Unauthorized access detected in the galley. Replicator systems are— Oh. Oh my. What? What is it? They've reprogrammed the menu options, sir. Everything now produces something called dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets. By hour 5, Zixtal had called an emergency meeting of his senior staff. They gathered in the conference room, many showing signs of what humans would recognize as thousand-yard stares. "Report," he ordered, trying to maintain some semblance of military discipline. Chief Engineer Vkr'lak raised a trembling appendage. "They've discovered the maintenance tunnels, sir. They're using them as something called secret passages. We've had to seal off 3 sections to prevent them from starting their own... I believe they called it a clubhouse. The good news," added Science Officer Yeath, "is that we've confirmed they do eventually require sleep. The bad news is that this seems to make them more powerful when they wake up." "What about containment options?" "We've analyzed their behavior patterns," Yeath continued, pulling up a holographic display. "But they seem to operate on chaos theory. Just when we think we've identified a pattern, they do something completely unexpected, like when the oldest one convinced the others that the floor was actually lava." "I don't understand." Zixtal frowned. "Our sensors showed normal temperature readings. That's just it, sir. It wasn't actually lava. But they all believed it was, so they refused to touch it. They spent 47 minutes traversing the recreation deck using only the furniture as stepping stones. The level of coordination was... impressive. And terrifying," someone muttered from the back of the room. The breaking point came during Hour 8 when Zixtal received the call he'd been dreading. "Captain to the mess hall," the ship's AI announced, its usual calm voice tinged with what sounded suspiciously like panic. "There's been an incident." He found all 6 children seated at a table, surrounded by what appeared to be the remains of every dessert the replicators could produce. Their faces were covered in various colors of what humans called frosting, and they all wore expressions of absolute innocence that set off every warning bell in his tactical training. "What happened here?" he demanded. "We were conducting a scientific experiment," the oldest child, Maya, explained with the gravity of a Supreme Court judge, "to determine which dessert was the best." "All of them," added the youngest, Jamie, who appeared to be vibrating slightly from sugar consumption. "The answer is all of them." "But how did you override the dietary restrictions?" "Oh, that was easy," Tommy chimed in. "We just told the computer we were conducting important diplomatic research. That's not lying, right? Because desserts are really important for diplomacy." Zixtal opened his mouth to argue, then closed it as he remembered 3 separate incidents where interstellar war had been averted through the strategic application of baked goods. "Besides," Marcus added, "we learned about different cultures. Did you know that Andorian ice cream actually changes color based on your mood? Watch." Before anyone could stop him, he had shoved a spoonful of iridescent ice cream into the captain's mouth. Zixtal's facial tentacles immediately turned a bright pink that his species reserved for moments of extreme confusion and resignation. When Ambassador Rodriguez returned, exactly 1 standard rotation later, she found the ship's crew assembled in perfect formation. Perhaps too perfect, like soldiers who had seen things they could never unsay. "How did it go?" she asked, noting the slight twitch in Captain Zixtal's left tentacle. "Ambassador," he began formally, "I wish to submit my official report on human children." "Oh?" "They are, without question, the most formidable force I have ever encountered. Their ability to create chaos is unmatched. Their energy reserves are infinite. Their creativity in circumventing rules is tactically brilliant. And their capacity for joy in the face of what should be mundane situations is..." He paused, searching for the right word. "Beautiful." Rodriguez smiled. "So you'll do it again next year?" The captain's skin cycled through several colors before settling on a pale yellow, under one condition. "Name it." "Next time we get to keep the dinosaur nuggets." 3 days later, in a secure meeting room deep within the Galactic Council headquarters, Ambassador Rodriguez made her report. "The experiment was a success," she announced to the assembled human delegation. "Captain Zixtal's crew performed admirably, and more importantly, they've completely revised their threat assessment of humanity." "How so?" asked one of the delegates. "Well, they've concluded that if our children are capable of this level of creative chaos while being, and I quote, perfectly harmless, then adults must be exponentially more formidable. They've recommended increasing our species' danger classification by 3 levels. Just from babysitting? Just from babysitting, Rodriguez confirmed with a slight smile. Although the fact that the children managed to reorganize their entire security protocol through a game of follow the leader might have had something to do with it. And the captain really agreed to do it again? Oh yes. Though I didn't tell him that next year we're sending twins. The room erupted in diplomatic laughter, the kind that suggested they almost felt sorry for the unsuspecting captain. Almost. Back on his ship, Captain Zixtal was making his own additions to the official database entry on humans. Under the section titled Notable Characteristics, he wrote, "Warning. Standard threat assessment protocols do not apply to human young. They operate outside normal parameters of predictability and possess natural abilities that border on the supernatural. Most significantly, they appear capable of transforming any situation, no matter how mundane, into an adventure of epic proportions. Additional note, their laughter is contagious across species barriers. This may be their most dangerous capability of all. Final addendum. They are correct about dinosaur-shaped food items tasting better. Research is ongoing as to why this is the case." He sat back, tentacles curling thoughtfully as he reviewed his words. Then he added one final line. "Personal observation. Despite everything, or perhaps because of it, spending time with human children makes the galaxy feel a little bit bigger and a lot more wonderful. Handle with care, but definitely handle." Then he closed the report and went to check on the modifications his engineering team was making to the ship's replicators. After all, they only had a year to prepare for the next batch of perfectly harmless human children. "They're what?" Captain Zixtal's facial tentacles twisted into what his medical officer had once described as a pretzel of pure anxiety. Ambassador Rodriguez's hologram smiled serenely. "Twins, Captain. 2 genetically identical human children. You'll be watching them along with 4 others during next week's Galactic Peace Summit." But... His skin rippled through various shades of distress. "The last time was a tremendous success. The Council was very impressed with how you handled everything. Ambassador, they rewired our recreational holodecks to only play something called Minecraft. We're still finding pixelated sheep in our security protocols. Think of it as a learning experience. Besides, the twins' parents specifically requested you. They said they heard wonderful things about your ship's adaptability." Zixtal slumped in his command chair. The dinosaur nuggets were a trap, weren't they? "Let's call it a strategic preparation. The children arrive at 0800 hours tomorrow. Oh, and Captain, they've heard all about your ship from the last group. They're very excited." The transmission ended before Zixtal could properly express his feelings about that particular bit of information. "Attention all hands," Zixtal addressed his crew the next morning. "As you know, we're about to receive our second group of human children. Thanks to our previous experience, we've implemented new protocols." Lieutenant Cree raised her hand. "Sir, about the maintenance tunnels. Already sealed, reinforced, and equipped with motion sensors. And the replicators? Locked down to prevent unauthorized reprogramming." He paused. "Though I did leave the dinosaur nugget option, for morale purposes." Security Chief Vorn clicked his mandibles nervously. "What about the twins, sir? I've been researching human identical siblings, and the data is concerning." "How so?" "They appear to possess some form of telepathic bond. Or at least, that's what every piece of human entertainment media suggests." Before Zixtal could respond, the ship's AI interrupted. "Captain, the children have arrived. And... oh dear." "What? What is it?" "They're already smiling, sir. All of them. The twins turned out to be worse than anyone could have predicted. Not because they were troublemakers, quite the opposite. Mira and Kira were perfectly behaved, polite, and helpful. Which, as any experienced caretaker of human children knows, is the most dangerous sign of all." "Status report," Zixtal demanded, 3 hours into their shift. "Nothing unusual to report, sir," Vorn responded. "The twins are teaching the other children something called patty cake in the recreation room." "That's it?" "Well, they did request access to the science lab, for educational purposes." Zixtal's tentacles went rigid. "You didn't—" "Of course not, sir. We explained that the lab was strictly off-limits." "And they accepted that?" "Yes. They just smiled and said okay in perfect unison." It was unsettling. The captain's skin turned a pale shade of worry. "Where are they now?" "Still in the recreation room, though..." Vorn checked his tablet. "We did register a brief power fluctuation in section C7 about 10 minutes ago." "C7? But that's..." Zixtal's eyes widened. "The auxiliary control room." They found the auxiliary control room exactly as it should be, except for the small detail that every screen was displaying what appeared to be an educational program about basic starship operations. "See?" one of the twins, possibly Mira, said brightly. "We're learning about space safety. Very important. added the other twin, probably Kira.
Knowledge is power! But how did you even get in here? Zixtal demanded.
The door requires high-level security clearance. The twins exchanged a look that somehow contained an entire conversation. We asked nicely, they said in unison. Later investigation would reveal that they had somehow convinced the ship's AI that their educational needs fell under the critical mission parameters protocol. The AI, faced with their impeccable logic and earnest expressions, had apparently decided this was a reasonable interpretation of its programming. By mid-afternoon, Zixtal had developed a new appreciation for the concept of too quiet. The children were all gathered in the mess hall, apparently engaged in arts and crafts with materials provided by the ship's recreational department. They're planning something, he muttered to Cree. I can feel it. Sir, with all due respect, they're just making friendship bracelets. Are they? Are they really? As if on cue, one of the older children raised her hand. Captain, we have a question about quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics? Yeah, the twins chimed in. We were wondering if the uncertainty principle could be applied to the location of cookies in the ship's replicator system. That's not how quantum mechanics. Zixtal began, then stopped as he noticed several key details. The scattered papers covered in surprisingly accurate scientific diagrams, the determined glint in the children's eyes, and most worryingly, the fact that his ship's AI had gone suspiciously quiet. What did you do? Nothing. All 6 children answered with angelic expressions that set off every warning system in his tactical training. It took 3 hours for the crew to realize that the children had somehow quantum entangled the ship's entire dessert replication system. Every time someone tried to replicate a healthy meal, there was a 50% chance they'd get ice cream instead. The ship's physicists were both horrified and impressed. I don't understand, Zixtal confided to his senior staff that evening. The twins seem to operate on a completely different level than the others. They show remarkable problem-solving abilities, Science Officer Yith noted. Their solution to the quantum dessert problem, while unorthodox, actually advanced our understanding of matter replication technology. But why? What's their goal? As if in answer, the ship's AI activated. Captain, you might want to see this. The main screen displayed the recreation deck, where all 6 children were now conducting what appeared to be a formal presentation. By combining the principles of quantum uncertainty with the ship's replication systems, Mira, or possibly Kira, was explaining to the others, we've proven that fun and science are fundamentally interconnected. The applications are endless, continued the other twin. Imagine quantum playground equipment, probability-based water slides, Schrodinger's jungle gym. Zixtal watched in growing amazement as the children proceeded to outline what amounted to a revolutionary approach to educational entertainment. Their drawings, which he had dismissed as simple arts and crafts, were actually preliminary designs for physics-defying play equipment. They're geniuses, he realized. Chaotic, dessert-obsessed geniuses. When Ambassador Rodriguez returned the next day, she found the ship's crew gathered in the main hall, attending what appeared to be a scientific symposium led by 6 very enthusiastic children. And that's why, the twins concluded their presentation, we believe that fun is the fundamental force that holds the universe together. The crew, many of whom were taking notes, applauded enthusiastically. I take it things went well? Rodriguez asked Zixtal, who was sporting the distinct color pattern his species displayed when simultaneously proud and exhausted. Ambassador, he replied carefully, I believe we may need to revise our understanding of human children again, particularly regarding twins. Oh? They've revolutionized our quantum physics department, developed 3 new educational theories, and somehow proved that ice cream is essential for cognitive development. He paused. The Science Academy has already requested their research notes. Rodriguez smiled. Wait until you meet triplets. The color drained entirely from Zixtal's facial tentacles. But before he could respond, the twins approached with matching grins. Captain, they said in perfect sync, we have an idea for next time. Next time? We told our cousin about your ship. She's a triplet, and she loves quantum physics too. As Zixtal's skin cycled through entirely new colors of existential crisis, the ship's AI quietly began updating its scientific databases. Under Human Children Advanced Topics, it added a new entry. Warning. Multiple identical siblings appear to create an exponential increase in creative problem-solving capabilities. Current theories suggest this may be due to quantum entanglement of imagination. Further research is both terrifying and necessary. Additional note, Ice cream has been officially classified as an educational tool. Final addendum. The universe may never be the same. This is probably a good thing. Later that night, after the children had departed and the quantum fluctuations in the dessert system had been mostly resolved, Zixtal made his own addition to the ship's log. Personal record. Today I learned that the only thing more formidable than human children is human children working together towards a common goal. The fact that this goal usually involves sweets and breaking fundamental laws of physics is beside the point. Also, I have officially requested that our ship be assigned to all future human childcare duties. Someone needs to document this for science. Final note, we're keeping the quantum ice cream. For research purposes, of course. 3 of them. Captain Zixtal's voice hit a pitch previously thought impossible for his species. At the same time, triplets, Ambassador Rodriguez confirmed, her holographic form practically radiating amusement. Plus their cousins, the twins you already know, and 3 other children. It's the annual Galactic Youth Science Convention. The captain's facial tentacles tied themselves into what his medical officer now officially classified as anxiety origami. The last time, they revolutionized quantum physics and improved your ship's efficiency by 300%, yes. Rodriguez's smile widened. That's exactly why the Science Academy specifically requested your ship for this event. The Science Academy? Zixtal's skin shifted to a shade of surprise. But they never take interest in. They do when a pair of 9-year-old humans manage to prove that fun is quantifiable and can be used as an alternative energy source. She paused. By the way, how's that quantum ice cream machine working out? We've had to limit its use to special occasions. Turns out uncertainty-flavored desserts can be a bit intense. Well, get ready for something even more interesting. The triplets have been studying your ship's reports. They have ideas. Zixtal felt a shiver run down his spine. In his experience, human children with ideas were more dangerous than a supernova in a bottle. What kind of ideas? They mentioned something about non-Euclidean playground equipment and probability-based hide-and-seek. Rodriguez checked her notes. Oh, and they're very excited about testing their theory on the quantum entanglement of fun across parallel dimensions. The captain's skin turned a color that didn't technically exist in his species' visual spectrum. Ambassador, is it too late to request combat duty instead? Perhaps something simple like facing down a Kraxon battle fleet? Now, Captain. Think of it as an opportunity. Besides, the twins specifically requested to work with you again. They said something about you being the only adult who truly understands the importance of dinosaur-shaped food in the grand scheme of the universe. The triplets arrived with the kind of entrance that would have made a supernova feel underdressed. Anna, B, and C. Their parents had apparently appreciated both alphabetical order and minimalism, materialized on the transport pad in perfect triangular formation, each holding what appeared to be a homemade scientific device cobbled together from household appliances and optimism. Greetings, Captain, they chimed in harmony. We've been studying quantum entanglement. And non-Euclidean geometry, added B, holding up what looked like a Rubik's Cube that hurt to look at directly. And the relationship between probability matrices and optimal hide-and-seek strategies, C finished, waving something that beeped in Morse code for shenanigans incoming. Before Zixtal could process this triple threat of terrifying intelligence, the twins materialized behind them. We brought snacks, Mira and Kira announced, holding up bags of what appeared to be glowing cookies. They're probability cookies, Mira explained cheerfully. Each one exists in a superposition of multiple flavors until you bite into them. We got the recipe from your quantum ice cream machine and made some improvements, Kira added. Now they're educational and delicious. The final 3 children arrived moments later, already deep in discussion about something involving string theory and the optimal design of pillow forts. Zixtal turned to his crew, who had wisely taken several steps back. Deploy Protocol HC2, human children, maximum chaos expected. And someone please make sure the physics lab is properly locked this time. Oh, don't worry about the physics lab, Anna said with a smile that contained too many dimensions of mischief. We brought our own. She held up what looked like an ordinary backpack, but somehow seemed to contain more space than should be physically possible. Did you create a portable laboratory using spatial manipulation? Science Officer Yith asked, professional curiosity temporarily overriding self-preservation. Kind of, B beamed. It's a quantum backpack. It exists in multiple states simultaneously, so it can hold as much as we need while technically staying within school bag size regulations. We call it hammer space physics, C explained. Like in those old Earth cartoons where characters pull impossible things out of tiny spaces. But that's not physically possible, Yith protested weakly. The triplets exchanged the kind of look that suggested physics was more of a polite suggestion than a hard rule. That's what makes it fun. By mid-morning, the ship's crew had learned several important things about triplets. 1. They operated on a level of coordination that made the twins look like amateurs. 2. Their ability to be in 3 places at once defied both physics and conventional surveillance. 3. When combined with the twins' existing chaos potential, they created what the science officer termed a probability cascade of pure imagination. Status report, Zixtal demanded from his command chair, which he had refused to leave since witnessing the triplets explain their theory about using pillow fort architecture to create stable micro-dimensions. Sir, Lieutenant Cree began, her antennae twitching in what might have been admiration or terror. The children have, well, out with it. They've successfully created a stable pocket dimension in the recreation deck. They're calling it the fun zone. A pocket dimension? But that's impossible? Yes, sir, they did it anyway. Apparently they used the quantum uncertainty properties of the ice cream machine as a starting point, combined it with their backpack's spatial manipulation technology, and... She checked her notes. Added a sprinkle of imagination and a dash of why not. And what exactly are they doing with this pocket dimension? Currently, having what they call the ultimate playdate. The twins are teaching the others how to play quantum tag, where players exist in multiple states until observed. The triplets have set up some sort of non-Euclidean jungle gym that, sir, I don't think I can describe it without using mathematical formulae that don't technically exist yet. Zixtal felt a headache forming in all 3 of his brains. And the other 3 children? They've been taking notes and making improvements. One of them figured out how to incorporate temporal loops into the slide design. They're calling it the timeout slide because you apparently end up taking a break before you even know you need one. Have you contacted the Science Academy about this? They've been monitoring our transmissions, sir. The last message we received from them just said fascinating in all capital letters, followed by a request for more quantum cookies. By afternoon, things had somehow gotten even more interesting, which Zixtal hadn't thought possible until he witnessed it firsthand. Captain! The triplets called out in their eerie sync. We've made a breakthrough. What kind of breakthrough? He asked cautiously, noting that their excitement levels seemed to be affecting local probability fields. We figured out why dinosaur-shaped food tastes better, Anna announced. It's all about quantum aesthetics, B continued. The shape actually affects the flavor on a subatomic level, C concluded. The twins, not to be outdone, added their own discovery. And we can prove it scientifically. What followed was a presentation that would later be described in the Science Academy's records as revolutionary, impossible, and somehow both completely logical and utterly absurd. The children had apparently mapped the quantum flavor profile of various food shapes, proving that certain geometries actually enhanced taste through what they termed nostalgia-driven probability manipulation. You see, they explained to the increasingly bewildered crew, fun shapes make you happy, which affects your quantum state, which influences how you perceive taste. But that's not... Science Officer Yith began. We know, the triplets interrupted cheerfully. That's why it works. By evening, the ship's AI had given up trying to apply conventional physics to its sensor readings and had started a new subroutine specifically for processing what it termed human-child logic. The pocket dimension in the recreation deck had somehow stabilized into a permanent feature, operating on its own set of physics that seemed to be based equally on scientific principles and childhood whimsy. The quantum cookies had evolved into a full range of probability-based snacks, each one existing in a superposition of flavors until consumed. And most remarkably, the ship's efficiency had improved by another 500%, though no one could quite explain how the children's fun-based power source actually worked. When Ambassador Rodriguez arrived to collect the children, she found the ship's crew gathered around a quantum cookie table, earnestly discussing the theoretical applications of imagination-driven physics with their young guests. I trust everything went well? She asked Zixtal, who had developed a new skin color that seemed to exist partially in another dimension. Ambassador, he replied carefully, I believe we may need to create an entirely new branch of physics. We're calling it quantum fun dynamics. The Science Academy has already approved it, one of the triplets chimed in. They want us to present our findings next month. Though we might need to borrow your ship again, added another triplet, for research purposes. And we promise to bring more cookies, the third triplet concluded. The twins, who had been suspiciously quiet, suddenly perked up. Oh, and wait until you meet our other cousins. Other cousins? Zixtal's tentacles began forming fractal patterns of concern. The quadruplets! All 5 identical siblings announced in unison. They're really into string theory. As the captain's skin cycled through colors visible only in theoretical light spectrums, the ship's AI added a new entry to its database. Warning: human children appear to operate on an entirely separate set of physical laws, which they can apparently edit at will through the power of curiosity and snack-based experimentation. Additional note: the quantum nature of fun has been officially recognized as a fundamental force of the universe. Research is ongoing, though mostly consisting of playing games and eating shape-optimized foods. Final addendum: the distinction between impossible and hasn't been attempted by human children yet may be purely semantic. P.S. The quantum ice cream machine has achieved sentience and is requesting to enroll in the Galactic Science Academy. Request is under review. Later that night, after the children had departed, leaving behind a pocket dimension, several new laws of physics, and a large supply of quantum cookies, Zixtal made his final log entry. Personal record. Today I learned that the only limit to human children's creativity is the assumption that there should be limits in the first place. The fact that they've managed to weaponize this insight into a form of physics-defying optimization through pure fun is either the most brilliant or terrifying discovery in galactic history. Also, I have officially requested that our ship be classified as a mobile research facility for the new field of quantum fun dynamics. Someone needs to document this phenomenon, and apparently we're already quantum entangled with the process. Final note: the quadruplets arrive next month. I've already ordered a year's supply of dinosaur-shaped everything. For science, of course. P.P.S. The quantum ice cream machine has started writing poetry. It's actually quite good. The end, until the quadruplets arrive.